Welcome back to r/LegalAdvice, where people ask questions, get advice, and we get satisfaction. If you are new around here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel to join our awesome community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. This one is titled, High School Student, I'm not allowed to sit for the pledge despite being in a public school and despite having warned multiple staff. By warned, I mean, but the Constitution literally says this. See, they say it is the school rules and that school rule is higher than the Constitution. They question me, scream at me, coerce me to stand, pressure me by implying I disrespect my country and troops, and the handbook implies punishment if I don't stand for the pledge. This is illegal. Where do I go from here? Does anyone know how other students have done this in the past? Thanks. And a user in the comments said, this school is banking on the likelihood that you or your family will not spend the time and money on a lawsuit, as most do not. Here is how I think you should proceed. First, have a parent write a note regarding your abstention and bring it to administration. This generally solves the problem, as most schools do not advertise this, but parents can opt students out of almost any rule like this, also out of public school uniforms, field trips, any required purchase, and so on. Number 2, provide evidence regarding the Barnett case and show them that you have the local ACLU phone number on hand. Number 3, call the local ACLU chapter. You can be punished for behavior that infringes on learning or disrupts a safe learning environment, so your abstention should be quiet and calm. All debates and discussions about this should take place in an office and be recorded or documented. Update to the high school story. Alright, it gets a little crazy from here, so the staff would scream at me, warn me with detention, in school suspension, etc. if I didn't stand for the pledge. I contacted the ACLU and I am glad I did. The principal spoke with me, as well as one of her staff, and I named all the examples of teachers flipping out or coercing me otherwise. Eventually, I got them to change the handbook to say that students don't have to, that way we had more recourse. It was a small win. I wish I had pushed harder. I had the ACLU on my side. I felt bad about busting the principal's balls. I should have done more. You will see why. I suggested an explanation or an announcement, something explicit. I suppose it was easier appeasing staff than an 18-year-old, so they refused. So what came of me having issue with this pledge thing, which logically contradicts the concept of freedom? I've gotten so many threats messaged to me, people pretending to be polite and then begging me to leave the country, others calling me a terrorist, to name a few. Everybody wants me to recognize that I have it good, but see no problem with this inconsistency that should not exist. Why are we forcing people to say they are free and loyal to a country? I am just a dumb 18-year-old for questioning blind patriotism. The ignorance is dangerous. I took it upon myself to speak to a dozen veterans, a few in person. That is what I've done for you that disagree with me. And guess what? They agreed with me. They are on my side. We had long talks. They commended that I did not mindlessly recite a pledge under threat of punishment. We should not weaponize veterans to defend an idea we are taught is the right thing to do against all logic. So what else happened? When did crap get crazy? I was sitting in class, the pledge came, we had a substitute teacher. This older, cool guy that everyone knew and loved. So what did he do when a girl sat down during the pledge? Before I knew it, I looked up to see that he kicked a chair into this girl, this 4'11", 90-pound girl. She got so scared because he assaulted her for not standing. I wish I could say I did more in that moment. I told him he had no right to do that, and I told the principal. And you know what? Nothing happened. I saw him in that room less than 2 weeks later. Land of the free, home of the brave, but don't you dare question something as innocuous as, why am I being forced to recite a pledge every day? I have nothing to apologize for. I only regret avoiding writing this follow-up. It felt too draining, but here I am writing it out in 15 minutes. I graduated. Should I press that they are explicit with this issue? The principal said it was mandatory that they enforce the pledge via Illinois law. No one was forcing the aggressive sentiment among staff though, and yeah, this happened in a blue state. And guys, since I know that I have many American viewers, what is your opinion on this situation? Let us know what you think in the comments. And the next one is titled HR investigating me based on claims from my now fired harasser, US. To try to be as brief as possible on the backstory, coworker wanted relationship, I said no. Was in the process of separating from my significant other, we were friends for a while, he began having serious trouble and there was a wave of anxiety meds and some scary conversations. Very clingy, very accusatory. Which concluded with him messaging several coworkers a lot of things, accusing me of sleeping with some of them and such. He want me to move in with him in a strictly roommate way. I said no because didn't figure he could separate the two. Eventually, he says he's lonely and wants a relationship. I again say no. He tells me he went out on a date with someone and that he wants to see them again. I say great, I'm happy for you, through text. Then tells me at work about being up all night with his partner. I tell him, glad you're having fun. Then issues began. He started messaging me, complaining about me leading him on, started ranting about things I don't know he knew, going off on me. I had finally had enough and went to MGMT. The messages continued, went to MGMT again, a fake Facebook profile made in my name and messaged my husband accusing me of cheating MGMT. Again a few weeks later he is messaging my team lead calling me crazy and such. She went to MGMT, another message, more MGMT. I finally got him blocked on everything. This was the beginning of December. HR began investigating around a few months ago after he filed a complaint against me. He has now been fired but continues to harass me. Sends messages to coworkers saying he's determined to get me fired, apparently sent emails to HR telling them all kinds of rubbish. He messaged a family member and told them a variety of things and included the content of emails. HR is now investigating me based off his claims. They keep interviewing me and accusing me of a variety of things and saying they will make their decision about my employment. Don't really know what to do, he is still harassing me and HR is indicating I'm going to be fired. And a user in the comments suggested, OP, block this person. If they are not contacting you directly, not really clear if that is what is happening, still per your narrative, then there's likely not much you can do. And guys, I'm curious, did you ever have to deal with a coworker that harassed you? How did you deal with the situation? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is an update and it is titled, No longer under investigation. TLDR for original post, coworker opened HR case against me in another attempt of harassment, backfired and they let him go, but not before he got them to start investigating me for unfounded claims. He then began harassing me elsewhere. The work case is officially closed and I'm going to keep my job. The harasser is now private messaging coworkers and family members lies and slander. By the way guys, on a quick side note I just wanted to mention, since a couple of days I've got somewhat of a stomach bug or something and for some reason my voice sounds a bit different, so apologies for that. Either way, he is also posting Facebook statuses and tagging my coworkers and MGMT in them saying more terrible things. Many coworkers are now coming up to me and complaining due to it continuing after telling him to stop. I did file a restraining order to make this stop for myself, my family and my coworkers. I go soon to defend it. Thanks for your suggestions. And the next one is titled, Denied from my college course after being enrolled for my suspected narcolepsy. I am in England. Hello everyone, I was due to start my animal studies course today at my college, but I had a call on Friday, basically the last minute, to tell me that I am not allowed to be a part of my course because of my suspected narcolepsy, as I am apparently a health and safety risk due to my condition. I take medication twice a day and when I am on them I don't have sleep attacks. This decision was apparently made by the Special Admissions Board on Friday. I was never contacted about my condition and how bad it can affect me, so they did their risk assessment without consulting me in the process. I gave my medical history to them back in March before the lockdown happened, along with my application, and I heard nothing until July. I got offered my place with the condition that I receive one-to-one support, which I accepted. I was enrolled on the 24th of August and congratulated over the phone for the enrollment by the college itself. I bought all my equipment and uniform needed for my course that in total costed £300. Then last Friday contacted me about no longer being able to enter. I was offered another course that I have no interest in, and all the other courses I want to do I cannot do because of the same reason, as they are all practical based. I had a meeting at the college yesterday and have them one hospital letter saying I can function perfectly fine on my medication, and I've sent 2 more in today. None of my teachers are giving me advice on what I should do, and even ignoring me. My mom is running around trying to get in contact with the admissions board with no results so far. I've been contacted on Instagram from someone that works in the health and safety sector, and they told me they are going against the Equal Rights Act 2010 and the Health and Safety Act. Do I have any grounds to sue or take this to a higher power at least? As this is the only way I can see that anyone is going to listen to me. And a user in the comments wrote, have they got an accessibly, might be called accessibility, and might be in the student well-being pages team? I would contact them direct. I cannot speak for your college or your condition, but I do work in higher education, but they should be able to identify reasonable adjustments and an individual learning plan for you. And by the way guys, I just had to look up what narcolepsy actually is, and basically, as far as I understood, people who have this are really tired during the day and they can get so-called sleep attacks, so they basically just fall asleep. Honestly, I'm not sure why the college is making such a fuss. This doesn't really seem dangerous for any of the other students. So I cannot really follow the reasoning here. Update to the narcolepsy story. I got a call back from my college's special admissions board and has agreed to let me start my course as of tomorrow on 12-week review to see how I go. I honestly didn't think that I would get anywhere with them, but I did. Thank you all again. Yep guys, and that was surprisingly painless and sort of wholesome. I am happy for OP that it worked out in the end. And the next one is titled, My research paper is being plagiarized by a professor after I graduated from university. Hey all, created a throwaway to ask for advice regarding this topic as I have friends on Reddit and don't want word getting out about this before I know what to do. I graduated from an American university, think satellite campus in the UAE, in 2016. I graduated with a degree in international business and economics, and during my final year at the university, a professor had students in one of his courses enter the business category of a nationally held research competition. The research paper was also to be submitted as a final project. A classmate and I worked 3 months preparing a paper that was shortlisted and eventually was awarded 4th place within the business category. After the competition, I did not really think much of the paper, other than my professor saying that he's very proud of us and that if we were interested, he would like to work with us and publish it after he polishes it up a bit. He made it extremely clear that it would be the 3 of us. After graduating, my friend and I got jobs at different MNCs where we have been extremely busy. In the meantime, we do visit the university and catch up with our professors. However, nothing regarding the research paper has come up. We still have access to our old emails and drafts, as well as the final submitted paper. Today, while on LinkedIn, I saw a post from this professor titled Forthcoming Publication with a picture of the first page of a research paper with the title Abstract and Introduction, extremely similar to our old paper minus the names of my friend and I. Some people who have read my paper seen the LinkedIn post and have told me to allow him to publish it and then follow through with legal action against him and the university, while others have told me to contact him directly and ask about the submission. What should I do? Do I still have the rights to this paper, although I did it while a student in university? I am overall extremely confused of what action I can take and whether or not I should take any. Thanks in advance for your help, I appreciate it a lot. Update, hi all, I appreciate all the advice. It really means a lot to me. I emailed my professor, as many of you have suggested regarding the paper, and I am awaiting his reply. I feel that being proactive rather than reactive is the best course of action. I know there are comments about being the paper possibly not being plagiarized, so I took an extra step and contacted a good friend of mine who is a professor for a different university and gave him the 2 articles to see if he can create a connection between them. I will give you an update about what happens with each. Until then, thanks Reddit family, you've all been great. Update number 2. Hello everyone, my friend in academia came to the conclusion that if it were one of his students, he would definitely call them in to question them regarding the paper. However, without seeing the full paper, he does not want to label it as plagiarism just yet. He expressed that the topics are very similar though. The most alarming portion to him were the similarities in the paper's limitations and sample study. Just to avoid a bias, I asked my friend to ask one of his colleagues to go over the papers to see what they think also. I am still waiting on my professor to reply to my email. I think giving him 2 or 3 days before contacting the department head is appropriate. And by the way guys, interesting side note here, when I wrote my master thesis in university, I actually wrote it completely in English because it is much easier for me to write in academic English than it is to write in academic German. Actually, I also had to do some oral exams and I asked them if it was possible to do them in English as well, but then they told me, we are in Germany here, so we speak German. Obviously, I was a bit disappointed. Anyway, some people in the comments said your first step would be to contact the professor, especially if you are on good terms, and ask about getting your paper ready for publication. You may or may not want to mention the paper you saw on your professor's LinkedIn. If the professor is unresponsive or combative, you can then escalate to the head of their department. If the paper is published in a journal, you should contact the editor of said journal with whatever evidence you have of plagiarism. Do you still have access to your institutional email account / an alumni email account? Is it possible that your professor has been trying to get in touch with you through those channels, but you have not been accessing your student / alumni email? And another person answered, this is the correct answer, perhaps it's different for the hard sciences, but I cannot fathom a professor using undergraduate work. And yes, I assume this is undergraduate work for a publication without significantly reworking it in any of the humanities. Also, the entire question of plagiarism can be taken care of with a single note, whether of the foot or end variety, so without seeing the entire paper, it is difficult for OP to claim that the work is plagiarized. OP should reach out to the professor and inquire. Reaching out to the journal will be difficult if OP does not know which journal is possibly publishing the article. Reaching out to the university, bypassing the professor, is just going to piss off the professor, and I can guarantee that the university will go to the professor and ask for his or her side of the issue before moving forward anyway. And again, all it takes is a single note and there are no issues of plagiarism. Update to the plagiarism research paper story. So, I did not hear from my professor at all and waited until the end of the week, which is Thursday in the UAE. In the meantime, I found the full manuscript online where he actually submitted it to an Arab Innovation Summit to give a keynote on it. I don't think he was selected, since he did not show up on the list of keynote speakers on the website. Regardless, after finding the manuscript, I came to realize that the paper is heavily based off of mine. I've sent the paper in its entirety to my friend working in academia to get his advice once again. I then followed the advice given and emailed the business department chair Thursday noonish with my professor's manuscript as well as my classmates and my original work, while stating that we are not looking to burn any bridges and want to remedy the problem in a way where no one gets publicly roasted. However, there's been no response. Today is Sunday, the first day of the week. How long should I wait? What or how should I follow up if there's no response? Should I be contacting the president of the university next? I'm currently in Qatar, so traveling to the UAE would be incredibly difficult due to political reasons between the two countries, but I'm willing to do so. Update: hey all, I appreciate all the support and advice. I will be the first to admit that the issue I currently face is not as life-threatening or emotionally taxing as some of the things other OPs face when posting on this sub. However, I genuinely appreciate the thought and suggestions you all have given for something that is not affecting any of you directly. Update number 2, the department had emailed back stating that the issue at hand is being looked into currently and has invited me to his office to go over both reports together. From what I understand, my professor has not been told of this yet. Unfortunately, as I am not based in the UAE, it will be difficult, but we scheduled for a Skype meeting instead. We'll update you all accordingly. And guys, unfortunately, OP did not deliver in this case. There have been no further updates, and even though I tried really hard to contact this guy, I've gotten no response back. Probably because the post is from 2 years ago and this guy did not visit Reddit again. Sorry for that, but I think it is still an interesting story. And guys, this marks the end of the first part of the video. The second part is gonna be comprised of a set of older stories that some of you might have heard already if you are a loyal subscriber. However, if you are new to the channel, these stories will be new for you as well. My ex dropped our daughter off with me for a sleepover a month ago. She has disappeared and closed almost all avenues of communication. Where do I go from here? This is a little weird, I know. Hear me out though. I've always had a little bit of a rocky relationship with my ex. We were both young dumb kids in love and it ended badly. A 7-month marriage and 1 kid later, we both ended it on very bad terms. When my daughter was born, my ex got full custody. I'm not going to argue with that decision at the time, as she was much better off than I was. Over the past 6 years though, my career took off and I ended up in a very well-off situation. My ex, however, never grew out of her party girl lifestyle and pretty much has ran into the ground. I have kept a working relationship with my ex only for the sake of our daughter and have been in her life as much as possible and have got the court to give me weekend custody. Sorry about that backstory, here's my problem. Last month, out of nowhere, my ex blew me up with texts telling me that I needed to take our daughter for a day or 2. Her reason was she was planning on moving to a new apartment and wanted our daughter to be with me instead of staying at a friend's with her. Well, her dropping our daughter off was the last I saw or heard of her. For the past month, I have been playing Where in the World is My Ex-Wife? For almost 2 weeks after I called and texted her daily before her number got disconnected. I looked into the apartment that she had and the friend she was staying with also do not exist. The only close friend I could get into contact with was her, now ex-boyfriend, and he says she quit her job and broke up with him the day before she dropped her daughter off at my house. I have tried to contact her family, but none of them will talk to me. This all is super effing confusing, and to top it off, this morning my bank called me to inform me that the account my child support payments are direct deposited to was closed. Right now I am not only confused, but concerned. My daughter is my first concern here, and just telling her mommy is on vacation is not going to work forever. I need advice now. If my ex wanted to F off and start a new life, then Godspeed, but I need to know how to handle my daughter. Technically, I missed my child support payment, so I feel like I need to act fast. Should I try and get full custody now, and how should I go about this? Do I need a lawyer in this situation? Should I report my ex missing? Update, thank you all for the advice, I really appreciate it. It is early and I am on my phone, but I thought I would give a brief update. But guys, before we read the update, we will read the comment that led to the update. Possibly. User Mrs. Mayhem says, I agree that you should contact the police. Worst case scenario is that she harmed herself. I only say that because she seemed to have cleaned up all loose ends in her life in one go. Ended her relationship, quit her job, left her housing, closed her bank account, left her kid with the responsible other parent. If she was just effing off to a new life, I would think she would keep her bank account as an easier way to pay for it. Unless she was afraid it would be used to track her. Does your daughter have a relationship with your ex-in-laws? I find it weird that they won't talk to you about their granddaughter's well-being. And you know guys, one thing I'm always wondering about in these custody stories, it sounds like in the US it is much easier for the mother of the child to get custody instead of the dad. In case I totally got that wrong, please correct me. Anyway, onto the update. The police were notified of the situation very shortly after I made this post. They made a wellness check and things have become much more complicated. I will be meeting with my attorney today to look into getting temporary custody. My daughter is safe and I am looking into counseling options to help work through this. I will update in the future, just know my ex is not dead, at least that we know. And actually I did some digging on the OP and apparently in the end he did get custody for his daughter, so it all turned out well. And the next one is titled, Doctor sent me to get blood work at an in-network diagnostic center and I've been sent a $1,700 bill with a note saying these charges were denied payment by insurance based on the diagnosis reported by the physician. The title basically says it all. This is in California. I went in for a checkup with a new doctor since I have not been to a doctor in about 8 years. He ordered blood tests and then never called me for a follow-up, so I never went back, assuming the blood tests came back fine. Now I have this huge bill from the blood test center that has been denied by insurance. I only make $18K a year since I only work part-time while I am in school and I spend it all on bills. I have no savings and I have no way to pay for this. What should I do? And a user in the comments said, tell your doctor what happened and ask him to change the diagnostic code and resubmit. I worked in a doctor's office and we have done this before. Another user says, usually they will need to write a letter clarifying why the tests were necessary. In addition, I would just like to ask a quick question to my American viewers. What kind of health insurance do you have, if any? Let's say you get into an accident and you would have to pay up to $50K in hospital fees. Who would pay for that? Please feel free to let me know in the comments because I am curious. Update: charged $1,700 for lab work that insurance denied as medically unnecessary. Fixed. I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone who commented and gave advice. I really appreciate all the help. Here is what I ended up doing. I called my own insurance company to find out why it was denied. I found out that because of my dad's specific insurance plan, I was supposed to go to a specific doctor's office and lab for my yearly checkup and blood work that is near my parents' house because the insurance has a specific contract with them. However, I did not go there because I live a few hundred miles away. However, my address is listed as my parents' address, so the insurance company thought I lived nearby. They said I could appeal with an address change, but the woman on the phone was very upfront and said that those never get approved. She said that if I could get my doctor to change the billing code, just like all of you said, you noble wonderful people, then the insurance company would review it. She also said that the old code had to be removed and a new one put in place. The new billing could not have both codes on it. So I went to my doctor's office and brought in my bill. The admin at the front was so sympathetic and understanding and promised to take care of it within the next few days. I told her everything that the insurance lady told me and she wrote it all down and clipped it to a copy of my bill. She said that the diagnostics place never even sent them my results. By that Friday, she had gotten my results and had me come in to find what they were, resubmitted the claim to insurance and put a hold on all payments until it was figured out. Today I got my new bill in the mail, all of the blood work was covered, my new bill is $0. I cried all over the place, you guys. I am planning on bringing that admin a thank you card and maybe a Starbucks card and flowers. Hopefully she's allowed to take them. Thank you all so much for all of your advice and help. You are all the best. You literally helped me from having to pay 10% of my yearly wages. Plus, I started saving up in preparation for having to pay this bill, so now I have the beginnings of a little nest egg/emergency fund just in case something happens in the future. Again, you guys rock. And by the way, what has been the biggest hospital bill that you had to pay out of your own pocket? Let us know in the comments because I'm curious. And the next one is titled, My father and stepmother died, leaving me 19 male and my stepsister 8 female. My stepsister's father, who has previously never cared about her, is getting full custody and has told me he won't allow me to visit. Is there anything I can do? Hi. So, my life is falling apart. As the title says, a few weeks ago, my father and my stepmother were killed in a car accident. They have been married for 7 years and my stepmother had a daughter from a previous marriage who is 8 years old. I love her unconditionally as if she were my own sister, and I would fight tooth and nail to keep her safe. She has no immediate family other than her father in the area, so he is going to receive full custody of her. I don't know if subjective opinions are allowed in posts like this, but this guy is a effing a-hole. The reason my stepmother left him is because he was abusive, which was never reported to the police, but I know several people who have witnessed it firsthand, so it absolutely 100% happened. And the reason he was abusive was because my stepsister was born and he did not want a child. As a result, he has never given a crap about her, never asked to see her, and has never wanted anything to do with her until now. I was at home with my stepsister a few days ago and he knocked on the door. I opened it and we had a really ugly conversation about what was going to happen to my stepsister now that her mother and my father were dead. I told him that if he did end up having custody, I would want to be seeing her as often as possible as I consider her my family. He told me, verbatim, "That's not gonna happen, son. I don't want my daughter spending time with half-caste blood." He is referring to the fact that my father is mixed race and that I am too as a result. I slammed the door. I was absolutely livid, which brings me to this post. So, basically, I have a few questions. First, can anything be done to stop him having custody? There are no police reports about his abuse. His criminal record is clean by all the research I have completed. Third, at the very least, could I contend in a court that I have visiting rights to her? I am not actually related to her, so I'm not sure what the standing is there. Third, if it's not possible to force allowed visits, is there any way I can straight up adopt my stepsister? I have an office job that pays well, so financial security would not be a problem. I have an apartment of my own and I would be 100% willing to be her full-time guardian. Edit, I want to make it absolutely clear that my sister does not want to live with her dad and she says she wants to live with me. Thank you so much to anyone who responds to this. I am at my wit's end and I will do literally anything to keep my stepsister close to me and I don't care about the cost. And guys, before we read a very helpful comment to the story, please try to give your suggestions on what OP could do in this situation in the comments. On to the update, a user said, "I went through a similar situation when I was your age and did get full custody of my little sister. Please call a family law lawyer and they can help you navigate this. Don't hand over your sister to her dad as he might be able to take her legal from you since the previous parenting plan would not protect that from happening. Ask the lawyer about filing an emergency temporary parenting plan so you can have custody of your sister until this is all sorted out. Make sure your sister's school knows what's going on and the school paperwork does not allow her dad to take her out of school. Also, call your local court and ask about legal aid services in your area, as some attorneys will take a case like this pro bono, so you won't have to pay anything. Good luck. And now let's see, or let's hope, the story turns out well." Update to the stepsister story from before. So, after one of the most stressful months of my life, I can happily tell you all that I got custody of my stepsister. I did as many of you suggested and got a family lawyer who was one of the most kind and helpful people I have ever met in my life. I told her the circumstances of my stepmom and dad's death through tears and sobbing and then told me she would do everything she possibly could to help me. After my stepsister's bio dad was informed that I would be trying to get full custody, he basically folded within hours. The lawyer told me that it would not have mattered anyway though. She said that because he had not visited her for such an extended period of time that it was considered abandonment in the eyes of the law, and the likelihood of him specifically getting custody was unlikely because of this. After her bio dad said he did not want my stepsister, I then spent weeks and weeks filling out the right papers and seeing the right people. I have never signed so many things in my entire life. Because my stepsister had no biological family other than her crazy dad, and I was given custody on a silver platter according to my lawyer. Her biological dad did not ask for visitation rights and it appears he did not even care in the first place, he just wanted my stepsister for no reason other than to further upset me. Yesterday, I signed the last piece of paper that confirmed that I had 100% custody of my stepsister. After I signed, we both cried and cried for hours. We are both working on processing the death of her mom and my dad. As I write this, she is asleep next to me with her head on my shoulder. The past months have hands down been the worst of my entire life. I consider meeting my stepsister the best that has ever happened to me, and adopting her is the single best decision I have ever made. These events have made me realize that family is not just DNA based, it is actionable investments in the life of someone you love. Thank you so much for all of the people who helped me in my first threat. I owe all of you for the rest of your lives. Once I turn 21, if any of you all are in the Aberdeen area, drinks are on me. I hope you all lead wonderful lives. Give your loved ones a big hug for me. And of course guys, once again, I have to apologize for cutting all these onions in the videos, but honestly, these wholesome r/legal advice stories are just awesome. And the last two stories are from our own subreddit and don't have anything to do with legal advice. The first one was posted by user Lady Tanner and is titled Petty Revenge on a Jerk. This happened decades ago. I was on my way to a company picnic and stopped off at a department store to purchase a sun hat. The parking lot was crowded, but a good spot became available. As I was pulling into the spot, a man clipped my bumper when he took the spot. He called me the N-word and entered the store. I pulled out the gizmo that allows you to adjust the firmness of your tires and deflated all 4 of the jerk's tires. I left a note on his windscreen. Since you wanted that parking spot so much, I have made sure you will have it for a long time. And the next one was posted by user Miriam377 and is titled I feel like such a jerk. Here we go, my tenants moved out with no notice. They asked us if they could break the lease and we said yes. They were the ones that insisted the time period. The lease stipulates that they give us a forwarding address within 10 days, which they never did. We have a friend helping us manage the apartment and he saw that the damage was 4 months worth of rent, a new kitchen was installed and they completely ruined it in 2.5 years. The kids colored all over the walls, there were holes in the walls. It then took them a week to return the keys, claiming they lost it. So 3 weeks later and we finally have the damage assessed and the tenant keeps calling for his deposit back. We tell him he could come by and we have an envelope for him. No, he did not get back a deposit. He owes roughly 3 months rent since we deducted the security deposit for not giving 30 days notice. Well guys, I don't know about you, but I don't think OP is really a jerk in this story. The tenants sound very irresponsible, so I'm curious to hear what my audience thinks about this story. And guys, just because I am in a very happy mood today, we will just read another quickie from r/ripe stories. I hope you don't mind. This one is titled Entitled Old Man Wants the Storage Bin on the Highest Shelf. Posted by user JoeRick1234. A number of years ago, I was on contract in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, when I went into Walmart for a few things. When I got to the checkout, I saw that the girl running it was very upset and near tears. When I asked her what was wrong, she said that the old man waiting by the wall of storage bins had been giving her a hard time because he wanted a bin from the very top shelf, even though the bins at floor level were exactly the same. She had called another worker to get a ladder, but it was taking a long time and she was getting the brunt of it. As she was telling me her tale of woe, or woe, I'm not sure, the worker arrived with the ladder and started arguing with the man that the bins near the floor were exactly the same. The checkout girl and I were watching this go down and she started getting even more upset because I was being delayed by this guy. I told her that the temperature outside was 105 with high enough humidity to swim in, and that I was from New Hampshire and not used to that kind of heat, so the longer I stayed in the 72-degree store, the happier I was. I then told her to just relax and she would have a story to tell her grandkids a few decades down the road. She visibly relaxed and watched the rest of the show. The worker finally got the bin off the top shelf and the old man quickly paid for it and left. By the time I paid for my items, she was relaxed and happy, and I was happy to have a story to tell to my grandkids. And of course also to post on the Ripe channel. Not really, YouTube and Reddit did not exist back then. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and if you haven't already, please also go to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where I upload exclusive Reddit videos starting at just $3 a month. This is a great way to support me in case you are interested, and the chance for me to become independent from YouTube revenue. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I hope to see you again tomorrow.